we want to talk in more detail about how, despite all the challenges and all the circumstances that media in different countries find themselves in, new business models can develop new products, can create communities that will, not just help the media, but also help the regions at all. So I now want to introduce the speakers of this panel. Well, you already know Andriy Degtyarenko, but we are also welcoming Pavel Kanygin, who is a journalist of Novaya Gazeta, the legendary Russian media, and the Bektur Iskandar from Klub. Bektur, are you here?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I just couldn't see you. Pavel, are you here?
Yes, hello, I'm here.
Hi. Okay, so as we all gathered, I think I would open this with just a question where I would ask you to give us an overview, just a short one of all of your situations. Well, I think Andriy can just be short there because we've already got that. And what are the biggest challenges you face now as you try to work and develop and grow your media outlets in the situations you find yourselves in? Pavel, we can start with you.
Oh, as you wish. Hi, everybody. It's my pleasure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm honored to be here to participate in this conversation. Thank you again. Thank you so much for having me. And actually, to start with, I think I'm not going to waste your time because I think everyone knows exactly what's going on in Russia and what the state of media in Russia is. So I just maybe stress a little bit on like the main challenges. And the main one is that our audience kind of is split between two major groups. Is the audience which is kind of above, let's say, 55 years old age, and another one is youngsters actually. And we really we grappling with this. We're trying to grapple with that problem, with that issue, because the Novaya Gazeta, as you may know, is a paper for for adults, for grown-up people, for really grown-up people, for as they called old men. And and now, like during like recent years, we've been facing this challenge pretty it was really big challenge, because we saw our audience like dying in every sense of this word. And our editor-in-chief decided that we gotta like shift from printing media model swiftly to the kind of digital, and to the digitalization of the the way we do the way we run the newspaper. So, and that's where the next challenge began, because we found ourselves not aware how to perform, how to solve that task, because we, as an established media, as an independent media in Russia, were facing like a huge criticism from the coming from the government, and coming from the I would call them so-called patriots, jingoists. Like, is it called like that? Jingoism, right? Jinga, the like fake patriots.
Jingoism.
The people. Yeah. So let's call them jingoists, right? So, and we were coming under this under this huge criticism coming from both of these sides. And actually it means, and it meant, and it means that we were and still are lacking like resources. We don't have like revenue coming from advertisement at all. We don't have revenue like coming from subscription because like subscription model is not the way you might survive in the country. Like we used to rely on our sponsors, and it's also very tricky. Like it became tricky some years ago when our parliament adopted a law which forbade the independent media to collect money from foreign sources and funds. So what we did actually, we created a small teams of young people who were in the know of how to how the things were in the internet, actually on YouTube in particular, on Telegram and on Instagram. So it's not that difficult to understand that a lot of lots of our potential audience live in social media, and especially on YouTube. YouTube is a kind of a mining field in terms of like of people, and all that you can do, all that you should do is to find a way to extract those audience from YouTube and to kind of to take them from YouTube to your front page, to your website. And that's the challenge that we cannot solve actually still, right?
Don't give up all the secrets just now. We'll get to the solutions just a little bit later.
All right, sorry for this long. Yeah, I know. Just I'll stop right now. Okay, and give the stage to other speakers.
Let's give the stage to Bektur now. Please tell us how the club is doing and what are the biggest challenges you face in Kyrgyzstan now.
Hi everybody. You know, if Pavel started his words by saying he doesn't want to waste our time because everybody knows about Russia, I think I should waste a little bit of everybody's time because nobody knows what the hell is going on in Kyrgyzstan. And the thing is, Kyrgyzstan is pretty unique, actually. I mean, it's our situation with freedom of speech is not, as bad as it is generally in the region of Central Asia. And I would say it's probably closer, to what I heard about Hungary or, maybe Ukraine. Because, I mean, we have a lot of free media operating and we are doing a lot of investigations. And, some of the investigations that we've been doing, they actually would change, the course of history of the country. And it's been pretty impressive. But then, of course, there are a lot of challenges because, our authorities are always leaning towards authoritarianism. They want to become, such. It's difficult for them. We fight all the time. And, Kyrgyzstan is mostly about fighting all the time, including, fighting for freedom of speech. But, the challenge that we want to overcome is actually explaining to the whole world why corruption that is going on in our part of the world is important for everybody. One of the biggest stories that KLOP, the media outlet that I had founded, one of the biggest stories that we ever broke out was a huge investigation that we did together with OCCRP, Radio Liberty, and Bellingcat, which was about a huge smuggling network in Kyrgyzstan, which operated from China. It smuggled, goods through Kyrgyzstan to Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Russia, and so on. And the thing is, the story at first looked so local. It looked like, it's Kyrgyzstan's problem or something, And in Kyrgyzstan, it was a big story indeed. But then, we realized that actually the main person, like the head of the organized crime group, who earned a lot of money on that, he would spend them in countries like Germany, UK, US, and United Arab Emirates. Basically, the money would be laundered all over the world. And of course, it influences, much more countries than we can even imagine. And unfortunately, many people in these countries where, the dirty money flows into, they have no idea what's going on in our part of the world. So we are trying to find, the ways to make people aware all over the world that, the corruption that originates in our part of the world actually influences their lives too, in a way. Like, maybe London people when they complain about, property being so expensive, they should really pay attention to what kind of corruption people are buying apartments in their city. That's kind of that's one of the biggest challenges. There are of course many other challenges, but it will take too much time to describe all of it. But that's the one that I really aim to work about. And we have a couple of ideas, but I think I'm going to talk about them a bit later.
Yeah. Okay, so I would give a floor to Andriy now, but I would change a question a little bit because we all just heard what the situation is with what the context is around Realnaya Gazeta. But my question is, what are the limitations? What are the challenges that you can't overcome, whatever you do, that limit your ability to grow and develop? I mean, I think the kind of an obvious answer to that is that's war, right? But that you can't just stop because you're a cool media outlet. But is there anything else that is a limitation to you?
Do you mean our revenue or what?
Well, I would say revenue is a challenge, but you can work on it.
Media.
Yeah, but you can work on revenue and grow it, right? Yeah, but I'm talking more about the things that you can't change, right? That limit your ability to grow and develop, like the war. You can't change the war. You can't take it away.
That's
is
true.
there something else?
Thank you. Yes, I understood. First of all, it's like specific situation, specific area of our interest, of our investigations. Because when we study war, we can also write or investigate some I don't know, peaceful life. But our audience don't want it. They don't. Wait from us all these topics, all the stuff, and so on. So we like maybe like squirrels in big wheel. We started all this moving inside the investigations, inside all this war narrative, but we cannot stop, and we cannot move out from this wheel. We can, but it be other media. Maybe it's not Realnaya Gazeta, which became what we have during the wartime. But war continues, and our topics continues also with all this war. And I think we our development, next steps of development of our newspaper, of our media, is more diversification. It's Telegram, it's this subscribe model, it's email newsletter, new YouTube products, because we started from reports from occupied territory. Right now we want to make some digests, weekly digests or monthly digests about the whole situation, analytics, and so on and so on. So we can diversificate our model, but I don't think we can change it at all.
Yeah, that's.
And actually we don't want it, because it's not like business project for us. It's like our way to stay in touch with our own home. As for me, I couldn't visit Lugansk at all, because I'm like enemy of all this regime, and I would be imprisoned, no way. So Realnaya Gazeta is like more about mission, but not about monetizing media or about revenue. But I understand right now, and with help of our subscribers, people who support us, that this model is also can be reliable.
Yeah, I would now move back to Pavel and ask you, So you mentioned audience difference as a challenge, right? You have to go all digital suddenly, and that was unexpected. But is there something that is a limitation to you, right? Something that you can't overcome because as you already said, that you successfully conquered the digital thing, right? Is there something that's holding you back that you can't do anything about?
Yes, as I said, we trying to grapple with that issue, but I cannot say that we that we getting close to our goal, and we cannot see the light in the tunnel yet. But like one more time, like the generational conflict is the main issue now. It's not even censorship. Yes, censorship is a huge problem. Like maybe self-censorship is more like is bigger than censorship, but that's this thing we can somehow work out. I mean, we can like move to Latvia, let's say. We can move to London. We can move to New York City, and start working from those places, right? And still we're gonna like see that challenge of like generational conflict between like among our like among Russian people. We cannot rely on elders because they're getting like it's getting really few of them who might support, who are able to support our newspaper, like making donations, let's say. And we cannot rely on youngsters because there are many of them, right? But they do not have money. They do not earn money to support like independent media like Novaya Gazeta. So that's the main issue in terms of surviving, in terms of like things that holding us back, as you said.
Yeah, thank you, Victor. Is there anything that's holding you back? That doesn't seem like that, but just
well, there is actually. I mean, we are probably the most optimistic in our group of people in the world. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, there is something that we cannot change on which is the population of our country, which is small, and the poverty in our country, which is drastic. Like, I mean, we are really a poor small country. Now, what this brings is that first of all, it's difficult, to be this traditional model to sustain a traditional model of commercial media outlet, for example, because when you have such a small market, if you want at the same time to focus on your audience, I mean, it's just not so many people who would pay. Even if everybody pays in the country, it doesn't bring you that much money. So we thought, that's why Klop has never been like a fully commercial media. Like we've been relying a lot on grants. We have crowdfunding. We also have some commercial services for people, but it doesn't, so we have different sources of income, which is fine for us. We wanted to be this, public kind of media which serves the society first of all, and we never aimed to be, like this traditional business media, whatever. But at the same time, we of course want, to do something that would bring us more income, and we realized that actually there are some things which we produce that can be sold as a service to other countries, and that might be an interesting way to develop. So we've done two great projects which I'm really proud of during last year. One of them was Political Compass, which was oriented on our parliament elections, and it was a huge sophisticated system which allowed our users to understand, through using artificial intelligence, kind of not really neural networks, yeah, but to understand, which party is closest to their views, and it would draw like a self-portrait of political views of every user, and then compare it to all the 16 parties which took part in the elections, and it was a huge success. Like we had several thousand people who actually filled out this huge 100-question form, but because it was so important to them, they did it, and they got results. And another thing which we developed, which was also very successful, is our own system of monitoring elections, because we have so many elections in Kyrgyzstan. Actually, we've had like 4 elections during last year or so. And last time we managed to deploy 1,500 election observers, and then to actually manage their work, very effectively, including lawyers who would automatically generate these forms of complaints and this kind of stuff. So we've been inventing this kind of stuff, and then we realized actually we can help build the same system in a country which is similar to ours. We understand that this might be any country in Eastern Europe, for example, which has oh sorry, my headphone has fallen out of my ear. So it can be any Eastern European country which has relatively free political kind of scene, which has political competition, and at the same time which has problems, and where people are interested in this kind of services. So that's what we are aiming for, and we want to broaden our horizons to kind of get out of the limitations of political borders of our country, and to start doing something which would be useful in other parts of the world. So if anyone is interested in very cool,
I think it's safe to say that Ukraine is interested.
Yeah, I mean, Ukraine definitely would be a great place to try this.
Elections here too. Sometimes we have those, a couple of those a year, and
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I didn't stop you there because we're actually at the solutions part, and what Bektur mentioned is kind of a great solution to a limitation. He said, right? So the Kyrgyzstan is a small country, but also doesn't need to be all within the borders. It doesn't. Thank you, and I would give a floor now to Andriy and ask you. So what is your solution? How did you manage to grow and to first of all sustain the operations, and then to grow and make discoveries about how different the audience you have is, and how you communicate with it and stuff? Do you hear me?
We may have lost Andriy for a second.
Andriy, are you there?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm there. Oh, sorry, I decided that it was question for Bektur.
No, that was a question to you.
About this model about elections or what?
No, that was a question about about.
Please repeat. Yes.
What is your solution for the limitations you have, right? So you said you've been discovering your audience from the scratch and finding out that you have a lot of different groups within your audience, and now you have developed an approach to create a membership program, right? So what is it? Can you tell us more about it, and what have you come up with?
First of all, one of my own solution, because my media is quite small, in terms of Ukraine, but we have major media, Ukrainian media, like big TV channel, other big online media, and international media also. And we have some exclusive stuff from territory where they can't operate. And we can sell our products for them. And I have in my past a lot of successful examples of this cooperation between Realnaya Gazeta and other big media. We made a very successful project like Donbass Realities with Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, and we sell our videos from occupied territory to different French media, British media, even Polish media. We try to cooperate with different international experts, making some expertise for them, analytical reports for them. So my solution is cooperation with big media, with other think tank. And I think that's even the way for our financial sustainability also.
Yeah, thank you very much. As it goes, Pavel, what is your solution? So you already mentioned that you kind of was trying to conquer this gap between the audience you have, and you devoted the groups of young people to conquer different digital platforms. Can you tell us more about that? You're muted.
Sorry, yeah, sure thing. Thank you, Darren. Yeah, so yeah, you're absolutely right that like we trying to find like a new audience, a new piece of audience, and we're trying to do that on YouTube in particular, because as I said, it's a main mining field where you can extract. And why is that? Like the main opportunity for us, as I said, is audience consuming information through YouTube and Telegram as well, because people, like especially young people, they do not trust mainstream media and have every reason for that, right? So in this regard, social media like YouTube, they're becoming the main source of like unbiased information. And those platforms are growing so fast that some of media managers, and I have to mention that now I'm not a reporter. Recently I took over as a media manager for Novaya Gazeta, executive audio and video producer. So for me, yeah, sorry for that intro. Yeah, for that. So, and I gotta mention that for me, it's becoming absolutely like meaningless to keep developing our traditional platforms, traditional like paper and like even digital website. It seems to be pointless, because let's say, like for example, our front page on our website generates only 15% of traffic for almost all our products. So another 40 to 50% comes from Google and Yandex, like Russian Google. 10 to 15% comes from Facebook and Twitter and Telegram. And so for a relatively successful piece of information published on our website, we get an average amount of views within like 100K margins. So, and at the same time, I'm switching to digital part. At the same time, if we don't publish pieces on our website, if we right off the bat produce video or let's say podcasts based on our high quality reporting, we can get even more views and even bigger audience for the same money that we could have spent on like doing our traditional, like doing in traditional way of running this newspaper traditionally. So like let me summarize this thought. So you have two like main approaches. The first one is traditional. So you keep doing like traditional journalism and your audience is getting smaller. It's like literally dying, sorry for my French, and it's getting you less money. And another approach, which is quite controversial because it doesn't get you much money, it doesn't get you much revenue, is to like a focus on like new platforms like YouTube and podcast, which is insane, right? For like journalists, even like me, like because I was like I was born and I was taught that like journalism is when you write something and you submit that piece to your editor, right? And he or she like publishes it, right? And like you can shoot a video and something like that, and submit it to your editor as well. So that's the way it was. But now it's not the model of survival. So you don't have to do all those things. You can just let's say you can just hire like an editor and a producer and like sound engineer a reporter from an established media like let's say Novaya Gazeta or like let's say Ukrainian Pravda, right? And he or she does all the reporting, and you like then you record the podcast or like shoot it like a short documentary, and you upload it on YouTube, and like the very same moment you start like gaining all those views, and of course you can incorporate some advertisement inside those documentary or podcasts, and that's how you start like making money, making revenue. So, but it's not a traditional way of journalism, right? So, and for many people working for like established media or working for legacy journalism, it's the idea of like shifting from this approach, from the traditional approach to the new one, is just like driving them crazy, and that's why I call it like generational conflict. So I cannot convince like my older colleagues that we got to make this shift, like a major shift from the from because for them it's like a very extreme movement, very extreme step. So, and I think I don't know how long it might take till we fully like till they understand that we're moving like slowly but surely to the death of the like newspaper, and it's sort of all. It's not about about Novaya Gazeta itself. It's about like every established media in I guess in the world. So sorry for my pessimism.
Well, that doesn't sound pessimistic at all to me. I mean, you are making the right shift, whatever time it takes. Thank you very much for that. So I think we should wrap it up. And my last question to you guys would be, what would you recommend to those of you colleagues who across the world, right? We can't assume that countries we represent that find themselves in trouble. What would you recommend to your colleagues from other parts of the world who experience the same problems do now to develop and grow and, get on top of the news, stay on top of the news, I would say, in these difficult circumstances? Pavel, you can give your recommendation first if you want.
Yeah, thank you. So my main suggestion might be create high quality content. Like it's like nothing new, right? So, but you can kind of what you got to do is to repack that high quality content into something into like new shelf, all right? Into with a new, like with a new surface, with a new display. So we, as I said, we make podcasts, we make short video for youngsters, which gives them a sense, of what 90s and 2000s were all about. And in our notorious countries like Russia, Belarus, and like Ukraine, the recent history is always a very desired knowledge, and especially for young people to gain, right? Because all of them are willing to understand how their parents managed to fuck up that much, their life and like our life respectively. So that's why it's very, very interesting for them. So my suggestion would be to create this content for youngsters, to keep focusing on what they want to see and how you can educate them, how you can not entertain but educate, because by doing that you might be able to grow them like from just young people willing to hang out and surf in the internet to your core audience, and I suggest that we start doing that like right now.
Thank you, Pavel.
Excuse me, just may I have one question? Excuse me, sorry for interrupting. If it's possible, just have one question.
Can we just wrap this up, and then we'll have floors for the questions in just a few minutes, if you don't mind. Victor, what would be your recommendation for the people in the same situations or the similar ones?
I think, I really loved what Andrei said about cooperation. I think, it's very important for us to cooperate. And, because previously cooperation was privilege of rich media from, rich free countries, but now the times are changing. There are new players from smaller countries like mine who, do something interesting. And that's one thing. Then another thing is that the more we cooperate, the higher quality content we can make, with the new access to more sources, and to more tools, whatever. And I think that makes us stronger. And also, it's a really great safety measure as well. Like for example, we did our series of investigations together with 3 other media outlets from 3 different countries. I think it helped us a lot because authorities don't want to put pressure on such a conglomerate of media. Actually, it's impossible. Like they might even try to kill some of us, but then all the rest would still keep on doing the work, and keep on publishing, and even like the recent, I don't know, Navalny investigation, for example. I mean, it happened so successfully also because of the cooperation. It was like the whole conglomerate of different media that simultaneously started, publishing all the things together. I think that's very important, and I think that's where we should keep on moving to.
Okay, thank you very much, Andrei. Any other recommendations about the cooperation, maybe?
Yeah, of course. I want to, as my own experience, I want to say that in every average media life, everything could change in a moment. Because of natural disaster, because of start of armed conflict, because of pandemic, and so on and so on. So my advice is to build not only plan B, but to build system which can be easily converted to something different. If you have right now, I don't know, a newspaper, you can easily, you can be able to easily convert it to something else. But with all these transformations, you cannot forget about your core audience. You must understand that your core audience is your biggest treasure, because you become part of their own history. They grow with you sometimes, and that's really interesting what Pavel said about older audience and youngsters. It's really important to hold even old audience, because they can help you when you're trying to rebuild yourself during all these cataclysms, to have all these roots have support from your audience. It's not talking about money. It's about views, about likes, dislikes, also comments, and so on and so on. Because we must continue, must go on, and our audience always wait from us all this. Keeps them in touch with something biggest and maybe even sometimes more important than if their own life. If we can hold this interest in our arms, even through all these cataclysms, through all these pandemics and wars, we can survive.
Yeah, on that high note, I think it's safe to say we're wrapping up this conversation, but we also have a few questions from the audience and also your co-speakers from this evening. I think Jakub was the first in line, but Jakub, maybe we can give the floor to Gergely, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Please go ahead, Gergely.
No, I didn't want to get first, but okay, thank you. I just raised the question when I heard Pavel from Novaya Gazeta, and he said that small money doesn't help anyway from supporters or from subscribers. So there's no point to collect small amount of money from them. And unfortunately, as I see the same approach we have here, and I'm actually surprised by this fact, because for us, we have over 400,000 real users per day. Somehow it's sometimes over 500,000. if they paid just €1.5 per month, or half of them, if paid €1.5 per month, that would be more than enough. What is the reason that none of us haven't tried to convince people to pay a small amount of money, but reach a lot of people? Because maybe it's a technical question, maybe it's too complicated to pay by PayPal or from other channels. Maybe that is that makes it more difficult to reach a huge amount of of people, to ask from them small amount of money. So can it be? What do you think? Do you think it can be a maintainable financing model if we try it? So that is the maybe naive question, but it's always with me. Thank you.
Georgi, is it a question to me or to everyone in the?
But since you mentioned, first of all, for you, yes.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Of course, it makes sense. Like whoever whoever might pay, might support you with some amount of money, with donations, is worth of is a worth thing, right? Trying to achieve, and but I don't know, like for us, as I said, that the main challenge is to keep this audience, like to preserve it, because as I said, it keeps getting smaller, it keeps dying in every sense, it keeps like diminishing and shrinking. So I don't know how to convince, like okay, we can convince 1,000 people to make those donations on like monthly basis, but we know exactly that, like, with the passage of months, like maybe with the passage of 2 years, they're gonna be not 1,000 people, but like let's say 500 of them, because people, you know, especially when they too old, you know, they got this tendency to pass away. So, and for me, like it's not a question of convincing, it's a question of finding another group and other groups of people, other groups of our potential audience, to be our kind of to be our supporters. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Pavel. Andriy.
Yeah, but I didn't want to answer particularly this question. I wanted to add another one from our audience, but I can also.
Yeah, I'm doing that right now. We have a question in the chat from the audience that says, "Thank you for your time and insights. And how do you compete with the state-owned propaganda, with the state-owned produced media propaganda infiltrating the media sphere in your respective countries?" I think that's the question to all. So you all have to stand against the state-owned media. How do you do that? Thank you, Andriy.
My brief answer is find your own niche, find your own audience, find your own group of interests, and try to make it bigger than you have it right now. I think it's the only way, because we have a lot of sources, a lot of people who try to manipulate information, to make propaganda, and so on and so on. But you have your core audience who maybe know you, who respect your past, who interested in things that you do. Try to collect all these people and try to develop them, try to make them more respected, have more knowledge, and so on and so on. And make this crowd bigger and bigger and bigger. That's my answer.
Thank you. Victor, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately in our country, at least, state-owned media would usually be several steps behind in terms of using new technology or using new services. So we tried to use this advantage as much as we could. And with several of our media outlets would, occupy the whole Instagram area, which is very important these days in Kyrgyzstan. While, state media would just do nothing there, or they would do something that nobody would watch, So I think that's one of the solutions. You try to think, several steps ahead, and always listen to what teenagers are doing in their smartphones. I think this is very important. They don't watch TV anyway. So but then they start using TikTok or something, and then you're thinking like, okay, what can I do in TikTok? Stuff like that. I mean that's. I mean I don't know if it's the strongest solution, but it definitely works in many cases.
I think that's fair. I'm also announcing that we'll have a TikTok presentation, so that actually answers the question on what you can do on TikTok, and you can do a lot of it. Pavel, do you have anything to add on this one?
I agree. I just want to add up on what our friends and especially Victor said. I totally agree that all we gotta do is to focus on TikTok and Instagram and social media. Yeah, because that's where people are located right now. Actually, our audience is located over there, potential, and we have to find a way how to build like a new community around our media. And I think that's the same goal. I mean I think everyone in this conversation has the same agenda. We got to create a community of people who might support you in times of trouble, right? Whether it be like a trouble, like some kind of a safety troubles, or maybe financial issues, or etc. So like back in the day, like this, like a safety pillow. Back in the day, that like our subscription, like our subscribers were the safety pillow, but now we don't have this model anymore. So and we don't have to find a way, and even donations, they cannot provide us with that, like a pillow, so which might be secure enough. So like a building community, that's the goal. That's the like ultimate task.
Yeah, thank you very much. So it's building the community is the answer against all our hardships maybe. Jakub, you had the question, and I think we're done here. If we don't have other questions from the audience.
Not so much a question, more of a comment, really. No, look, I think it's really sort of all has been said. Look, it's really inspiring to hear that everyone is, fighting the good fight, and no matter what are the hardships. And I think here today we have really some of the toughest parts of Europe represented. Everyone is kind of driving it through community. I know that Natalie, you had a question around solidarity across wider Europe, which I think we see a lot of today. I think we'll also have a chance to discuss that more in depth on Friday. So maybe we can pick up that discussion then. Yeah, I just wanted to say a big thank you to all that you're doing. Bektur, thanks so much for bringing down the house prices in London. As someone who is living there right now, I really appreciate your efforts of tracking the corrupt people and getting my rent to go down a little bit. Look, I'm so encouraged by the fact that whether it's in Hungary or Poland, where I'm from, or in other countries, you see the community is stepping up and supporting these media. And thank you so much to everyone, and especially Volha, who is joining us from maybe the toughest place right now for media from Minsk. Really, all our solidarity to you and all our good hopes. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jakub.
And Thank you.
Darina, Andrei,
Thank
Bektur.
Pavel,
Thank you.
Dektor, Iskender.
It was nice to see
Yeah.
you all. Thank you, guys.
Thanks everybody. Yeah, it's
Bye.
really an
Thank you
honor to
for
be with
the-
all of you.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Please do
Great.
subscribe to the newsletter and the Twitter of the Fix.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Darina. And tomorrow we will be talking about newsletters. So lots of exciting stuff to happen there. Thank you so much, Darina, and thank you to everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
You're offline someday.
Hopefully. And
Someday.
I'm happy that Kyrgyzstan is sometimes, people like include us in Europe or what, but yeah, but thank you anyway.
We don't want to limit ourselves. As you said, we have to go outside the borders.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great idea. Yeah. Thank you, everybody.